childhood, intimacy was never talked about, never demonstrated. There were unmentionables, and both the male and female body were concepts of untouchable, unspeakable, unclean, sinful regions of the natural human body. Cuddles and hugs were sparse, and it seems you had to be very ill to gain a place close to the heart of another. I was about 7 years of age when I accompanied my foster mother to the local doctor. Apparently, she was having problems. The doctor was trying to guess what those problems were, asking very direct questions that Mum avoided answering. Finally, he said, "If you don't tell me, I can't help you." Isn't that the truth? But those words stayed in my mind. This is more than body parts. This is about communication. Gratitude to education and openness in this period of time that we live in, because most now are educated to use the correct words, name the regions, the organs, and the systems of the body. You know, this is maturity. It's emotional refinement to educate ourselves and not be afraid of using the correct names and the correct parts of the body. The fear of intimacy is a barrier to finding and sustaining secure partnerships. Despite a conscious desire for a relationship with mutual respect and commitment, your unconscious mind is in the self-protection mode. And if your intergenerational learning and DNA coding is averse to intimacy, how can we have the depth within our relationships that we hope for? It is not uncommon for people to begin to have conversations in their head about people and situations that possibly don't exist. And worse, many believe and begin comparing their life with the imaginary life of another. This then becomes a destructive pattern, a thought pattern that hinders any hope of inner comfort, inner peace. Only those who live behind closed doors know what happens behind closed doors. Why would anyone want to waste their perfectly good brain cells thinking about something that is none of their business, stupidly comparing their life with an imaginary story, even if we know a part of the story, unless it is your own, you are creating a mental health trauma. But I can tell you why. People don't know how to do respectful intimacy. For many, the very thought is terrifying. It is a natural desire to practice making babies, but there is more to intimacy than sex. Fear of intimacy may include, and these are contributing factors to all relationships. And when I say all relationships, I speak of the security of belonging. Belonging in the family, the workplace, and the wider world of society. Fear of intimacy is often related to childhood trauma, emotional neglect, shame, and fear of abandonment and betrayals. If in childhood you were misunderstood when discovering sensitive body parts and you were punished, why would you allow another into your playground? If only the generations before us knew how to manage these discovery situations better. Fear of intimacy, signs and symptoms. If these are yours, you will recognize them. Avoiding physical closeness, difficulty expressing emotions, being silent, or talking excessively, or the fear of commitment. Difficulty building trust, difficulty maintaining healthy connections, self-isolating, self-aloneness. It may be an addiction to be overly busy. In other words, a holic. These are all avoidances for intimacy. What is a holic? A workaholic, alcoholic, spendaholic, a hoarder. There are reasons why this happens to some people. It may be childhood trauma, but there is often a deeper conflict, a family lineage disablement that gets passed through generations. And unless someone has the courage to break the cycle, it goes on and on and on. It gets passed to you and the people involved in your life, those that you're responsible for, those that as a parent, as an aunt, as an uncle, it's our responsibility to be educating, to be using proper words, not made up words for different body parts or different actions or doings. February 1984, my youngest daughter started full-time school. I thought I had completed my studies and opened my clinical practice. Later that year, I opened New Image Health School. I'm so fortunate to have worked 40 years helping people through memories of childhood trauma, separation anxieties, coping behaviours that in adult life became stumbling blocks to greater personal growth, relationships, commitments, including career advancements. With a professional background in human behaviour, I'm in the privileged situation where people confide in me. My expertise is in intergenerational emotional trauma and recovery to create the life you want. And each one of us, it's our human right to be able to create the life and live the life that we want. I wrote the mastery program that became the foundation of the accredited course, Transforming DNA Memories. I learned so much. I learned to be patient and wise in my own life, relationships, career choices. I became a better person, but more important, or as important, I became a better parent, a better friend, and a better partner. All because I began to learn and to know more. Remember I said I started my business in 1984? I thought that all my studies were over by then. I thought I knew it all. Folks, 40 years later, I'm still learning. And intimacy has been one of the big stumbling blocks for all of those years and before then of the people who beat a path to my door because they know that something is missing in their life and they're not creating the life they want. Folks, take a moment and breathe. And when you breathe in, did you notice your breath entering your nostrils? Do that again. Because, folks, that's intimacy. And when you breathe with your baby or your beloved, feel that breath. That's intimacy. And you do intimacy so well. It's not foreign to you. You've been doing it all your life. You see, there's different parts to intimacy. And unless we have that self-appreciation, self-safetiness, self-understanding, self-loving, unless we have that first, how successful will your future relationships be? I need you to understand me. You don't have to leave the relationship that you're with now to have a better relationship. You can sit together and breathe and feel the breath in your nostrils and that special, special gentleness just touching you. How intimate is that? Folks, put your hand on your upper chest. And if you choose, close your eyes and breathe. Breathe and connect. Breathe and connect. You breathe, and I'll continue speaking. Speaking about some of the ABCs of intimacy. In all relationships, whether it be the first time you meet your newborn child, whether it's starting a new school, going for a job interview, meeting people for the first time and every time thereafter, I bring to you the engagement of attention. Attention. Engage. Engage with the environment. Focus. Listen. Listen to learn. Too often we listen to reply, or we listen to react. That's an old habit. But the gift of all relationships is to listen to learn. We have ears and senses for a reason. Engaging intelligently, that's intimacy. Acceptance, being patient with differences. Different isn't necessarily wrong. Stop knee-jerk reactions when another's perspective is different. Different needs to be understood. Communication is the key. And appreciation is about being respectful. Respectful to yourself, respectful to your partner, and when the children around you see you being respectful to each other, that respectfulness has a flow-on effect. And you begin admiring each other's differences, admiring each other's genius, admiring and appreciating your own genius, your own unique gifts, and ensuring that each person, including yourself, is recognized for their own unique gifts. The foundation of every meaningful relationship is to learn, to accept, appreciate, admire, allow, allowing space for each person, including yourself, to grow and to learn. Life's journey to maturity includes emotional and spiritual refinement. And the more that we connect with ourselves, and the more that we appreciate ourselves and become intimate with ourselves, the better and happier life becomes. Learned and inherited behaviours, they travel with us. And unless we consciously decide to change, they'll continue to travel with us. So breathe. Today, as we breathe, we may reflect on the moments we created roadblocks, consciously or habitually crafting an emotional detour rather than taking time to address a behaviour. Possibly because we have a belief that to address an issue may hurt a relationship. Friends, if there are emotional roadblocks, intimacy is affected because you don't know how to approach the problem. Not all roadblocks are between you and another person. Often it is yourself, the self in the mirror. Don't be afraid and go and have a chat to that face in the mirror. And ask that little one in the mirror, say, what's hindering us from having a more intimate relationship? Looking to body language. Body language and facial expression speaks louder than words. Be aware of your truth. It is not only your words that tell the story. When our thoughts are pure, there is harmony in our physical posture and our expression. In the musical Time, spoken by Sir Laurence Olivier, these words, you've probably heard them. If your thinking is in order, your words will flow directly from the heart, creating ripples of love. That's intimacy. It's so beautiful, it's musical, it's gentle, it's soft, just so beautiful. When I speak to people who wish to explore intimacy, fear and past trauma is revealed. Many feel intimacy is a synonym for sex, but intimacy has a more distinct meaning. And while intimacy is part of what makes many sexual relationships work, intimacy can also be found in connections with close family members and friends. Folks, I have a question for you. Are you creating the life you want? Or are you living in the agony of a padded cell, tiptoeing around, trying to make yourself invisible? It's time to make yourself visible. So, be clear, be calm. Be clear and calm in all your communication. That is vital. For many, intimacy is a delicate subject. It is a subject that is very dear to my heart. And whether the relationship is lifelong or for a moment, it is the power of connection that makes the difference. As we connect to breath together in this moment, feel the life force of breath touch your nostrils and travel further. So where does your breath go? As you breathe out, imagine your breath intimately touching your nostrils as it farewells your body and begins its journey to the life of another. Because we all breathe the same air. Breathing, and as you breathe out, your breath intimately touching your nostrils. And as it farewells your body and brings its journey to the life of another, that's love.
Thank you, Sylvia, for your presentation.
Sylvia, I have a little question. Can you tell us again the ABCs of intimacy that you have mentioned?
Good. Thank you. Attention. Engage, focus, listen to learn. Acceptance. Being patient when another's perspective is different. Appreciation. Being respectful. Admiring the genius of another and of yourself. Allowing space for each person, including yourself, to grow. And the B's, behaviors. Learned and inherited behaviors travel with us unless we consciously decide to change. Breathe, feeling the connection of breath, the intimacy of breath. Beliefs often cause emotional roadblocks. Intimacy is then affected because you don't know how to approach the problem. Body language, posture, facial expression, it speaks louder than words. And be aware, I mentioned the words before, spoken by Laurence Olivier. If your thinking is in order, your words will flow directly from the heart, creating ripples of love. That's intimacy. And the C's, creating. Every day we have the opportunity to live our best life. Are you creating the life you want? Communication in every relationship is key. And connection. Intimacy is part of what makes many sexual relationships work. Intimacy can also be found in connections with close family members and friends. Consider this. Connection begins with ourselves. So always remember, when our thinking is in order, your words, your attitude, your energy will flow directly from the heart, creating ripples of love. And continue. Feel the life force of breath touch your nostrils and travel further, remembering we all breathe the same air, breathing in and breathing out. And your breath joins the life force of another. That's love.
The philosophy of the authors is unity with diversity. Sylvia's work is about curiosity and inquiry, about what more is possible and creating the life you want. Thank you, Sylvia, for your presentation.
You're very welcome. And thank you, Teresa and Pablo, for ensuring that we had the smooth running of Meet the Authors. Okay, lots of love, good breathing. That's intimacy.